We have two active tropical systems in the Western Pacific today. Actually, Chan-hom off here towards the north, still weakening, still lingering just south of Tokyo, Japan, and out in the South China Sea. This storm yesterday, I didn't think too much of it, but it does look like it is becoming a tropical storm. 17W from the Joint Typhoon Warning Center. Our military friends out there at JTWC in Hawaii have put a nomenclature on it, but key thing to note, the Japan Meteorological Agency has not named it. So if this does come on shore and does continue to weaken, which it does look like that is going to be the case, and JMA does not name this, statistically speaking, according to the records, this will not be a named tropical storm. But nonetheless, if you're out here in Vietnam, the impacts are the same. We're going to be looking at plenty of rainfall with that. I'll get to that in just a second. First, let's talk about Chan-hom. Still out here just south of Tokyo, still continuing to weaken. Big thing with it, shear is just pulling most of that convection off towards the east. So yeah, the center of circulation, let's kind of pull it down here towards the south. Unless you're out here vacationing out in the Izu Islands, you're not really going to have to worry too much about this. Actually, take a look at the ECMWF numerical guidance here. You can just kind of get an idea how this is weakening and falling apart with that shear blowing off towards the east. If you're in Japan, actually the biggest impact from weather over the course of the next 48 hours is a front moving in towards Hokkaido. Could bring some early season snowfall actually out there in some of the higher elevations. All right, so here's the headlines. Chan-hom continuing to weaken. 17W is strengthening just off the coast of Vietnam for a short period of time. Big thing for that is a rain event in Vietnam. That's going to be the big issue. Here's that forecast from the Joint Typhoon Warning Center. Does have it, at least at this time, winds about 35, gusting up to 45 knots. That is the lower end of the scale. They do expect a little bit of strengthening before this comes on shore just south of Da Nang. Big issue right in there. It's the rainfall, and especially just inland. You have a mountain range right about there. Oh, shoot, I'm not looking at the screen just in the right spot. Right about there, I should say. Where that tends to increase the amount of precipitation. And you can see that on satellite imagery, just the convection kind of piling up along those slopes right in there. The other key thing is this is dragging in moisture all the way from south of Okinawa here, and when you get that, you're going to start to get some rainfall adding up into northern areas of Luzon. So kind of a multitude of impact here. Of course, you have our storm system coming on shore here, but that moisture being pulled in means parts of the Philippines could be looking at some decent precipitation coming out of this and an indirect impact. Not to mention another system possibly spinning up here in the next few days is going to increase your chance of rainfall there too. And I shouldn't say another system, but a low pressure area is going to be here. It's going to move out and across the South China Sea. So you get back-to-back low pressure areas on top of 17W means a lot of rainfall out here, especially for Vietnam. Some areas much 200 to 300 millimeters. Could see some serious flooding. I was talking about multitude of systems coming across here though, and that's really the key thing because you have actually, this is the next 100 hours on the GFS. So we're looking ahead here, but the GFS really wants to say all sorts of activity out here east and west of the Philippines. Let's just watch this for a second. You can kind of see that loop come through. There's one system right there. Another one wants to spin up right in its wake. It's just a multitude of low pressure areas through here. One of them could become a named tropical storm, but I think the key takeaway is that you have a lot of moisture, you have a lot of instability, and you got a lot of rainfall. The Philippines has lucked out so far this season. Really haven't seen any landfalling typhoons yet, so the season's not over yet by any means. If you follow the tropical Atlantic, they always say the season ends in mid to late November. In the Western Pacific, it does not end. It just keeps on going. Never really stops. Anyways, that is all for me on this update. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions, please let me know. I'm still trying to get this green screen nailed down. If you noticed, I probably pointed at a couple spots wrong. Plus, I got a fix coming in for this in the mail tomorrow. That cord is driving me nuts. If you didn't notice it until I just pointed it out, that's great, but oh goodness, that's driving me nuts. Plus, where I'm looking at for my chroma key, I have to look off towards the left, so my eyes kind of tend to drift away. That's because I'm looking at what I'm pointing at behind me. Kind of interesting, the little setup I got here, but hey, it's a personal, it's not anything professional. Anyways, stay safe, guys, and as always, thanks for watching. All right?